The tech.
Today's top story, the Oculus Rift sold out. Oculus VR totally sold out to Facebook, and people are freaking out on the internet. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this down, look at it from as many different perspectives as possible, and then we're going to invite you guys to talk about it some more. But first off, Wendell, yeah, they totally sold out to Facebook. Zuckerberg was spotted in the building this week, and then people said something was going down, and then there were rumors on Reddit, and then it actually happened. It was real. When I first saw it, I was like, "There's no way that they've got to be trolling. This is nonsense." But $2 billion. Well, you know what? Let's ask a hypothetical question first. Okay, you've got a really interesting company that a lot of people are excited about. Facebook shows up at your door and says $2 billion. What do you do? I mean,
it's just
exactly right.
Zuckerberg. Facebook does have a really crack engineering team. That's not an engineering team on crack, but they're actually a pretty solid engineering team.
Probably a bit of both.
And they've got big data problems and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I've got to imagine that John Carmack is not happy about now working for Facebook.
You know, he hasn't said much. Oh, God. From id Software and Doom to Facebook.
Why? Is this going to be like Farmville in 3D? I'm pretty sure Simpsons did that first.
You know, here they've already got the first version of what they're working on out here. Let me get this on the screen. There it is. I didn't even send this to you. It's a beautiful 3D world, and you walk up and you browse Facebook right there.
This reminds me. I can't remember what it is, but I remember playing with some sort of virtual 3D avatar. Like you were a floating head, and it was really low polygons. It was designed to run on like a Pentium 90. And it was a voice chat program, but you had 3D floating heads, and is that going to be Facebook? Because that's really disturbing.
That's probably what it's going to be.
Now, it's like, at the root of all things Facebook does, there is narcissism. So now, is somebody going to strap on like a stereoscopic version of Google Glass and like go on a roller coaster or a yacht or something and then post that to Facebook, and then people are going to put on their VR helmets and be like, "Oh, I'm experiencing Bob's vacation. Oh, he went to Aruba on a yacht. Man, Bob's got it good."
I think this will be more like Total Recall, where you could just go on to Facebook and you pay money for experiences that other people have. So these, you've got like 4 or 5 adventurers, and then you can be like a spy on a vacation to Aruba instead of being like, going on your friend's vacation. Who wants to go on your friend's vacation? That's boring, because then you're just going to be jealous. And then you can publish the fact that you went on this vacation. I don't know. that's the Total Recall version right there.
I don't understand why Facebook just doesn't cut the middleman out and be like, "Here, you buy this package, and we will post periodically on your timeline, like as if you're going on to the fantasy Aruba vacation." And so you buy the package, and then over time it's like, "Hey, good news, everybody. Me and the significant other are going to Aruba." And, it posts to your timeline and does all kinds of stuff. Meanwhile, they also get ad money for the cruise lines that do that. It's a win-win.
I kind of want to talk about the fallout, because there's actually a lot of fallout for this. A lot of people were really looking forward to the Oculus. I was kind of looking forward to the Oculus. I tried one out at CES. I had the HD prototype that was supposed to be a lot better, but it still looked a little rough. But gamers are freaking out. People who ordered it have been trying to cancel their orders. And like right here, you see an interesting article on TechCrunch. And TechCrunch is mostly saying like, "Hey, look, all these people jumped in on Kickstarter, funded the thing, and then as soon as it's ready, they turn around and sell it for $2 billion. Now, before we get too deep into this, they didn't sell it for $2 billion in cash. It was like $200 million in cash, and then the rest was stocks and whatever, just different things like that. So
they're immediately down on their investment in after-hours trading. Facebook slid, 7%?
7%. Facebook went down immediately following this announcement. But people are freaking out. So if I did the math right, here's from Twitter. My $300 investment in the Oculus ended up being worth $250 to them. And people are freaking out. I helped build that. This is part of the Kickstarter story, but now I've helped build in a tiny way, another startup scheme. So people are freaking out. They feel like they've been suckered into funding a scheme that was just going to dump itself on Facebook, or just try to get itself sold immediately. And I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to look at this. My first way to look at this is, listen, when you go onto Kickstarter, you see a good idea, and you're guaranteed to get whatever is in, your prize package. Like if it's $5, you get nothing. If it's $10, you get a handshake. If it's $250 or $300 or whatever, you get a development kit. If it's, $10,000, you get to whatever. It tells you what you get. There's no real reason to expect, anything else. A lot of people seem like, that they should be entitled to some of the earnings as if they were a stockholder and as if Kickstarter was buying stock in the Oculus Rift. No, guys. I know a lot of you guys are probably freaking out and jealous of, just the fact that they've got $2 billion and you got, a crummy development kit. But you got exactly what you were promised on Kickstarter. Now, here's the real thing that the other thing that I think people should freak out with. That, I don't think anyone has a right to freak out about that and feel like they should deserve a piece of Oculus Rift or a piece of this $2 billion. What you should perhaps freak out about is the fact that you bought into a dream, you bought into an idea. Even Notch spent $10,000 on this. He threw money at the Kickstarter, and this is not what he wanted, and it's not what most of you guys wanted when you invested in Kickstarter. That's something you can freak out about. But do you think it's... Go ahead.
It's not clear what Facebook is going to do with this. So it might not be all terrible. It's not like... A lot of people are liking this too, like, Stalin has bought, Monsanto or something like that. Oh, that's maybe not a good example.
Or Stalin bought something we love, like Stalin is buying all the local puppy shelters.
Yeah. And it's like, is that going into the gruel, or are we going to let those puppies continue to live? And it's like Stalin has a certain pattern of behavior, if you will, that leads us to believe that he's going to grind the puppies up and but it's not clear what's going to happen there. So we might ought to wait and see what's going to happen before we actually grab our torches and pitchforks.
Notch had something to say about exactly what you're talking about right now. And right now I'm on notch.net. And, they were working on a version of Minecraft for the Oculus. The problem with, bringing Minecraft to the Oculus Rift was the fact that it's Java. It can get very, very... heavy, and it's almost impossible to run at a constant 90 frames per second, especially since you're in a world that's being built by a million different people, and there's really no control over what's going to happen in this world. So it's hard to get it stable. So they were making a special version just for the Oculus, and Notch completely canceled that version. And if you guys read here, that he's got some italicized lines in between the paragraphs, Facebook. He said some things like Facebook is not a company of grassroots tech enthusiasts. And he also said that Facebook creeps him out. He said that on Twitter. And he said, listen, Facebook is a social platform. And his response to all this is, but I don't want to work with social. I want to work with games. So he really spoke to a lot of that. And I think also a lot of people are worried about Facebook and their habits of mining data. And really, Facebook, the game with them is it's not about user experience. It's not about developing a niche community. It's not about gaming. It's about numbers. They need lots and lots of people. And the numbers are kind of trending in the wrong direction right now. And I think Zuckerberg looks at this and he's like, hey, this is something new. It's the future. We could grab this right now and turn it into something that would really attract a lot of people back to our platform. Maybe he's going to, like you said, go Second Life or something with this. But I think a lot of what you just said was echoed in Marcus Peterson, or Notch right there, in his blog. You guys should go ahead and read the entire thing. John Carmack also being there. That's really sad. That's still
Carmack's
the saddest thing.
Not really saying anything. It remains to be seen what he's going to do. But I think if we see a Carmack departure, it's going to be to go to Valve. Like if I were Gabe, I would pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Mr. Carmack, would you like a job? Come here." Yes.
Well, yeah. John Carmack did not renew his contract at id Software. ZeniMax bought id Software, and everything was kind of weird after that because John Carmack, in my opinion, doesn't seem like the type of guy who usually likes to work for the big, massive companies. I can't speak for John Carmack, so I'm not going to say exactly what kind of guy he is, but he seemed to, do better when it was just id Software doing their own thing, and they made some amazing games, and he's a coder. He's a genius coder. So now he's at Facebook, and the reason he didn't renew his contract at id was because they weren't working on VR, and ZeniMax didn't really think that VR was going to be a big thing. So he was like, unfortunately, that he wanted to work with VR. He thinks that's going to be kind of the future. Valve is working on something here. They've got their own virtual reality headset, and the rumors are that it's going to blow anything that Oculus VR has done out of the water. Now, there's really just not a lot of information floating around about this right now. So, Agent Beard, can you get some information on this for me?
Let me think. Yeah, I can do that.
All right, Wendell. So it looks like Agent Beard is going to do some investigation. Maybe we'll find out some more information on what's going on over there at Valve. But, you know, I tweeted. Everyone was in doom and gloom state. And I tweeted. I'm kind of a curmudgeon on the internet. If anybody follows me, most of my posts are like, God, why is the world so hateful? But I actually tweeted something positive. I said, you know what? I forgot what my actual tweet was. I should bring it up on the screen so people could follow me. But it was something to the effect of, you know, Oculus Rift was not the first VR headset ever. It's not going to be the last. The PC gamers are going to get the next, the better, you know, that kind of thing. We're going to get the next one. We're going to get the better version. And I think that's what's going to happen. There's going to be more VR kits, and I'm sorry for everyone that invested in the Kickstarter campaign. I don't know. Is there any aspect of this I'm missing? I feel like there must be a perspective that I'm missing from all this.
It's really, I think that part of the thing with the sellout too is probably that the team working on it has reached a point where they've taken the technology as far as it can possibly go, and it may still be a bridge too far. You know, we saw this with the Leap Motion. The Leap Motion is, by all accounts, an incredible piece of technology. It's amazing, it's fast, it's super responsive. It lets you add touch to a computer without actually touching the screen. We got some, we played with them, they're amazing. But it just didn't catch on. And this may be something similar, where this is maybe not the generation that's actually going to catch on. Maybe it's Valve's, maybe it's something after that, because we've been working on virtual reality headsets for a very long time. I mean, Nintendo had the Virtual Boy, which was terrible. But this is actually a cutting-edge piece of technology. But I think the clue is that in the latest generation, they added a stationary tracking apparatus because the accelerometers in the Oculus Rift were not good enough. They needed a stationary thing also tracking the movements of your head. And that's maybe a sign that, you know, for the masses, this is going to make you motion sick or something like that is why they added that. And there may be limitations like that in the technology that we're not aware of, but the engineering team's aware of. And it's like, well, you know, the best thing we can do is sell it to Facebook because they've got billions of dollars they can pour into solving those problems.
You know, I've got one other thing that may be interesting to touch on. And what about this angle? You know, Facebook is huge, and they're also very mainstream. And a lot of our viewers, I know, hate Facebook and don't like to use Facebook. But what if Facebook takes this and makes VR completely mainstream and normal, and it, you know, really gets out there in the world enough that it becomes something that can spread more, and we can have some more like hardcore PC gaming applications for it. So what if PC Gamer is sort of like John the Baptist? And then Gaben's going to be Jesus showing up later with his own thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
if that makes any sense.
If it were possible and everybody wouldn't be violently upset, moving Carmack around, that would be the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah, the Carmack to Valve would be the ultimate scenario here. All right, let's move on. I think we've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about as far as the, you know, Oculus VR. If I missed anything, or if you guys want to bring up any other points or any other perspectives, please put those in the comments, hopefully on our website. Yes, I'm driving people to our website. Deal with it.
That doesn't mean we're going to abandon you.
Yeah, we'll see you over there, though. All right, so in New Zealand has some scary things going on, and the MP, what was this? Well, you know what? I don't know too much about this right now. There's just some speculation going on right now, but it looks like they may be going in the direction of the UK in the sense that they are trying to blacklist scary things on the internet. They're trying to censor different parts of the internet. But the problem is they're going to be censoring esoteria. They're going to be censoring people who say bad things against the government. It's not just going to be like, you know, it's always to protect the people. But let's keep an eye on this, guys. Guys, if you're in New Zealand and you have, you know, more of a on-the-ground view of what's going on, let me know. Because so far, from what I've been seeing in the news, it's all just back and forth and nothing really, I don't know, interesting yet.
Well, whatever is being proposed, even New Zealand's telecommunications company is saying, this doesn't make sense, or how are we going to implement this? It's just not, it's just not a tenable position that this type of censorship is possible with the internet infrastructure as it is today. And any sort of gravitation toward an infrastructure that would support this kind of censorship necessarily threatens the openness and stability of the internet as we know it. And that's the fundamental problem that no one understands. It's like, without something as beneficial as the internet, there are going to be downsides. That doesn't mean that we should try to fix the downsides, because the downside, that means the medicine here is worse than the disease.
Yeah. In other New Zealand news, guess who is going to try to start his own political party?
Kim.com?
Yeah, Kim.com. As a matter of fact, Kim.com, he wants to start his own political party called the Internet Party. And the Internet Party, he promises that will improve pretty much the internet, the speed of the internet, freedom online, that sort of thing. And in order to make this a legitimate party, they're going to have to get someone elected to Parliament, or they're going to have to secure 5% of the vote. 5% of the vote. I don't know if this could happen or not. Let me know if you guys are in New Zealand and you plan to join the Internet Party. Kim.com is also in hot water. He may end up being extradited to the United States, where they will waterboard him for months, and I don't know what they're going to do to him. Probably a lot of terrible things. Shouldn't have copied
those movies, guy. I'm telling you.
Yeah. It's all because of that one email where he was like, yeah, I know bad stuff's going on, but profit. Hey, profit. Yeah. Damn it, Kim.com. All right, let's talk about the TV industry and the cable industry and the ISPs for just a moment. And we're not going to get into this too much because we talked about this a lot over the last week. And you guys should check out our AT&T video, AT&T's Lies Against Humanity. I mean, yeah. They have.
We are going to mention the thing that the CEO came out today or yesterday. I think we had a news article in there. We are going to mention
somewhere in here, yeah. It's somewhere in here. I'm not sure where it is, but it's somewhere in here. Anyway, the Consumerist reports that everybody hates their internet providers and their TV providers. That just pretty much sums up the entire article. Everyone hates their ISP, and they're stuck with them. Something's going to have to break one of these days. I mean, the different ISPs and stuff, they don't even care. They're like, well, what are you going to do? You hate us? So, it's like...
What are you going to do? Use another cable company? Oh, wait. No. Comcast and Time Warner have already said, we don't actually redirect stuff, so that's good to know.
Yeah, cue the South Park video.
If you're interested on why we're so upset about this, there was a disturbingly high number of people, and maybe not even really people, maybe PR agencies, that were saying, I'm fine with my 6 meg by 0.5 upload that I'm paying $100 a month for. I have nothing to complain about. And it's like, are you a real person? But one of the downsides of this, it is kind of a natural monopoly from an infrastructure standpoint, and this article provides a really complete, in-depth, thorough analysis that I would suggest everyone go read and understand, because it explains how basically, without oversight and regulation, they're going to abuse their position. And it's a very generically written article, not specific to the cable industry, but it's like, if you have a situation where a company is abusing its monopoly, its monopoly on whatever, look for these symptoms, and it's there in the article, and it's like, it's like a checklist of things that are very wrong. So the reality is that internet connectivity in homes and communities, those are quote-unquote dumb pipes, and there's no money to be made there. And this really leads into the quote press release, whatever you want to call it. It was like a live event with the guy from AT&T, and that's the BGR article, which is a couple of links down. And that really leads into that, where that guy is like, no, consumers shouldn't have to pay for our infrastructure upgrades. And it's like, well, then that's sort of separating right there. That shows you his motive. And his motive is to separate the internet from the network connection that AT&T provides. So your network connection to AT&T is their IP services, their television over IP, their voice service over IP, their other services, their other digital services over IP, and the internet is something else entirely. Effectively, what he's arguing there is that your connectivity will be to their network, not to the internet. And he's saying it very plainly in there, because if you're not paying for your internet connectivity, if customers shouldn't bear the cost of providing that access, then what exactly are you paying for?
And I also want to mention that he references Netflix again. If you totally missed the AT&T video, you guys should go watch that video. because there's some broader topics in there. But one of the keys here, and then a lot of the websites on the internet keep talking about this, and it's very like Netflix versus the ISPs. Netflix actually has nothing to do with this. They are just a successful service that's using a lot of bandwidth, and you are paying for the bandwidth. The problem is that the ISPs refuse to allow you to have what you're paying for, and you're paying for whatever 50 megabits per second or whatever. They do not give it to you because they want these web applications and websites that are using a lot of data to pay. But it's totally a red herring. Like, Netflix has nothing to do with this. They just don't want to give you access. They don't want to give you what you're already paying for. They're angry that you're using what you're paying for.
I would say that, based on what he's saying here and what I've already said, if it's still not making sense, imagine it this way. You pay for service from an internet service provider. You pay for a certain amount of data and a certain speed. And other competing ISPs also provide a certain speed and a certain amount of data. If you follow the logic of what he's saying, if you agree with what this guy's saying, then the numbers there are meaningless. They're completely meaningless. It's like, oh, well, this ISP has a faster package, or this other ISP has a faster package with more data. Those numbers are meaningless if he can come back later and say, it's like, well, you're actually using the thing that you paid for at the service levels. We gave you the parameters for the service on how much data you can get, how fast, and you're still operating within those limitations, within those parameters. But, gosh, we need the infrastructure. Somebody's going to have to pay for the infrastructure for us to provide you that service we sold you. That is exactly what he's saying.
That sounds really shady when you put it in plain English like that. But he jumps up on stage and says this stuff with a straight face, as if it were like normal. So it's extraordinarily disturbing to see that they are still using Netflix to represent something that's totally, it's just, like you said, Wendell, earlier, it's a red herring. Anyway, let's move on and talk about something a little more ridiculous. You guys remember Leland Yee? Leland Yee, he is a California state senator. And he goes crazy about game violence. He's one of the guys that's like, every time a new GTA comes out or whatever, he is just like trying to legislate against it and trying to, I don't know, he's one of the worst. Anyway, FBI stormed his office, right? Apparently right now Leland Yee is being suspected of taking bribes and trafficking guns.
Yep.
How's that for irony?
That's pretty ironic. It's that thing that always happens with politicians. When they're outspoken about something, they're doing it.
Yeah. It's like, as soon as they're like, I hate guns, it's like the guy has 90 guns and he's been shooting children and giraffes every single time. And he's like, well, we shouldn't have guns. But why is it, guys? Come on. This is the entire earth is not your therapy session. Just stop doing the bad things, all right? Stop it. All right, that's enough of that.
Ministry of Stop It.
Yeah, we need those t-shirts. Oh yeah, Ministry of Stop It t-shirts. We need those. We have some designs working on as far as that goes. All right. Here's an interesting way to sell an album. So Wendell, you're a big fan of the Wu-Tang Clan, right? you get down to the mad beats.
Am I supposed to make a W with my hand now? Something. Wait, that's not. Yeah, that is that. Oh no. I can't. I lack the manual dexterity.
What is that? Was that live long and drop a beat?
Yeah. Live long and yes.
All right. Yeah, Wu-Tang Clan. Those beats are filthy. I am so white I can't eat. Okay, never mind. Let me just talk about what they're doing here. Now, we always talk about how, the different organizations out there trying to start piracy. Well, Wu-Tang Clan has a different idea. They are selling their next album, and they are only selling one copy of it. They're selling it for $1 million. Just one copy, $1 million.
But they're also going to have listening events where people are frisked for recording devices.
Yeah, they kind of want to treat this like it's a piece of artwork. And even in here, they liken it to like, a famous piece of artwork like the Mona Lisa or something like that. I don't know. Where it goes on tour, it goes into different museums, and it goes into different art shows and galleries, and people come in and they look at it before. Guys, it's the Wu-Tang Clan. Come on. I mean, I know even if you're someone into rap, they may be like the most highfalutin rap group out there, but it's an album. I mean, it's not Yo-Yo Ma or anything like that. I mean, come on.
It's an
whatever.
interesting model. It's as much publicity stunt as
Yeah, it
anything,
is.
and I really have to applaud their PR firm for coming up with something so clever. But of course, this is going to be released in a matter of months or weeks.
Well, you know what? They're saying they're not going to release a regular album. It's just that one copy, and someone's going to have that one copy.
It's going to be on the internet regardless.
If someone gets that one copy, they're saying that they have a special case for it. They're making sure no one else gets their hands on it. If someone has that one copy and they decide not to upload it to the internet or whatever, do you think it's going to get out? I mean, someone's going to have to leak it, right? Right?
See, this is the thing that I don't understand. It's so unnatural because anthropologically we are wired for cultural, like this is a part of our culture, or if you're into that kind of thing. I mean, it's whatever, there's a different version for everybody, and it's a call and response kind of a thing. So, the music is the call and the response is what people do with it. And so this whole thing with all of this intellectual property stuff just seems so contrary to the way that we're hardwired genetically.
Yeah. I'm going to end this piece by saying if you're someone who likes the Wu-Tang Clan, I mean you no disrespect. I just have no idea when it comes to rap. It's not my style of music, and I'm not going to tell you you can't like a certain type of music. So that was my after-the-fact disclaimer. All right, moving right along. Bitcoin. We're going to talk about Bitcoin for just a minute. The IRS has decided that Bitcoin is going to be an asset, like a piece of property that you're going to be taxed on, and you're going to be. And this is kind of interesting, Wendell, because they're not seeing this like a currency, and the reason is that really no governments see Bitcoin as an official currency right now. So they're going to tax this the same way that they would tax a stock or a bond, because Bitcoin, the value goes up and down and up and down. So if you buy Bitcoin and they're $500 and then it goes up to $1,000, well, you're going to be taxed on the profit that you made from holding those Bitcoins.
Well,
do you think this is going to change the way? Go ahead.
It's capital gains tax, basically. So you only are taxed when you sell them. So if it goes up and then back down again before you get rid of them, capital gains, not really a big deal.
Right, you just hold on to them. So it's just like a stock.
Yeah, it is literally just like a stock. Until you convert it to US dollars, it does not matter. Well, it's not technically true. Until you convert them to US dollars or barter for them, technically. But, disclaimer, we're not tax people. Talk to your accountant, blah, blah, blah. But it's not a surprise that they don't consider it currency, because if they thought it was some kind of currency, that would open Pandora's box, and it would be all kinds of crazy. So really, they're just treating it like an investment or a stock or whatever. But that probably does mean that there are a lot of people like the Winklevi that are freaking out now. But I don't know that the Winklevi have cashed out any of their Bitcoins, but they've made an insane amount of money on their Bitcoin hoard.
Now they're like, damn it, we're going to have to pay taxes on this?
Yeah, so it's like,
I mean, I don't see this as being anything we can really complain about. It's people that are making money on it, they have to pay taxes on it. That's the way of the world. And I also want to note that a lot of the Bitcoin startups like Coinbase and a lot of the different online trading houses say this is good because it will actually add legitimacy to Bitcoin. And it may actually attract more investors because they're going to see it as something that the IRS recognizes. It's not some underground thing anymore. It's something you do have to treat like a stock or a bond. So I don't know. This could be the next evolutionary step as far as Bitcoins go.
The U.S. government response to Bitcoin is always schizophrenic. Anytime there's some modicum of sanity with Bitcoin, there always follows some draconian thing. So now that the IRS is tolerating Bitcoin, I expect a federal measure tomorrow outlawing anything in the banking and FDI. It's like, oh, we'll deny your FDIC insurance if somebody accepts deposits from Coinbase or something.
Some guy used it to buy marijuana. That we probably have to stop all Bitcoin transactions from now on. Just it's over. Sorry, guys.
If only Visa and MasterCard could be threatened with such things.
One more thing I wanted to bring up about this. I'm wondering how this will affect. Sorry, put it on my camera. I'm wondering how this is going to affect Bitcoin's life as a currency, because you can't really go to the store and buy a loaf of bread with Apple stock or with Google stock. So, I mean, is this going to change the way we deal with it? Is it just going to be a stock from now on or something like that, or something that we treat like a stock or a bond or a future, whatever? I don't know. That's the big question for me. Is it still going to be a legitimate online currency? I think so, and I hope so. I think a lot of the nerdier outlets out there are going to start using Bitcoin, But, with the powers that be in the banks and that sort of thing, I'm just not sure.
I think that it's going to be any opportunity to screw the little man because it's threatening the status quo and big business / tinfoil hat.
You know what? Speaking of the status quo and all that, Icelanders are insanely epic. You guys are crazy over there. I remember a couple of years ago when they just threw all their bankers and stuff in jail. Their currency's been going downhill for a long time. Their currency's been a victim of a lot of different things. The 2008 market crash really hurt Iceland, and right now they're trying to do something different. They now have their own currency for their country called the Auroracoin. And the Auroracoin, they're giving $400 worth of this, which is equivalent of, how many coins is that? 31.8 coins per person. So anybody can go on there, and anybody who's a resident of Iceland, you guys can go on there and claim your coins. There's a couple different ways to do it. One way is by using Facebook, but if you don't want to use Facebook, there's another way where you can, send an SMS using your Icelandic ID number or something like that. But it's kind of interesting that Iceland has created their own coin. They think it's going to strengthen their own, their economy, and also they, seem to think that digital currency is the way of the future. I don't know. That's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool, but it'll be curious to see where they actually go with it.
I'm wondering if people are actually going to adopt it. It's the thing. Right now, about 1% of the people have claimed their coins so far. And then it's, then they're going to have the problem of getting everyone around the country to, adopt it in all the different stores and restaurants and that sort of thing. If the stores and restaurants and everything start taking it, and if they can get the banks to start working with it, you can go to the store and deposit your coins and withdraw your coins, and then you can make online transactions and go down and buy a sandwich. I don't see why it won't take off, but the real thing is going to be, can they make it ubiquitous across the country? That is what's going to be the deciding factor, in my opinion, and I hope it works out because it would be an interesting case study for the rest of the world. And, there's some native tribes here who are also experimenting with coins. I heard of the Maza coin.
I have not.
I didn't really put this in the notes, but they're gonna be fighting about this a lot. The tribes have their own coins because they've been in a state of poverty for a long time. Now there's arguments over whether or not it's legal. So there's all kinds of coins popping up, and we can't follow them all, but it'll be interesting to see which ones emerge and which ones are allowed to stick around and which ones are argued about, which ones are legal and illegal. It's an interesting time. Yeah.
This kind of math is illegal. This other kind of math is not illegal.
You want to talk about the NSA just a bit?
Okay. Just this once.
just this once. So in the last month or so, we've discovered that the NSA and other intelligence entities have spoofed websites. Like you go to Facebook and you log in, but you're actually not logging into Facebook. It's the same thing that a hacker does, like they do it with PayPal and that sort of thing, where you go to a website and you think you're on PayPal's website and you log in, and then all of a sudden they've got your credentials. Well, what happens when the government does this? What are the implications, and what can your company do about it? They did this with LinkedIn, and they also did it with Slashdot.
Yeah, Slashdot is like an obscure nerd website from way back, and some other people that don't know what they're doing have taken over and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, if it can happen to Slashdot, there's some evidence that it actually happened to us with certain European countries. I was analyzing things, and they did it rather clumsily, and it's like, wow, really?
Yeah, I remember
what's going on?
You called me, and you were like, hey man, it looks like some country in the middle of somewhere is like downloading the entire website.
Yeah, it was a really sort of badly done thing, and it was like, it's like, here's the homepage of our site on the internet, but what is happening? So, I mean, it's not anything anybody should be worried about, like in YouTube land, but it was like, what is going on? So it turns out it's pretty easy to do that if you can just, manipulate the infrastructure.
I mean, it's a little bit more difficult now that we've implemented HTTPS encryption, and that's one of the best things. If you're someone out there, if you're a webmaster, one of the best things that you can do is implement encryption. Just get some SSL certificates, get some good ones, and go with it. But that's not going to make it completely impossible for them to spoof your website. But it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. Anyway, there's a question here of what these different companies can do about it. And if you look at the law, it is copyright infringement, and beyond that, there could be some criminal implications if they're stealing user data and that sort of thing. But you know, the actual code or the actual law that's written into, you know, the copyright law or whatever says any persons. Any persons includes the government. If any persons, you know, misuses your trademarks and your logos and all that sort of thing, if anyone misuses it, they can be held legally liable. So some of these different companies out there actually could have grounds to sue the government. Now, whether they're going to do that or not, who knows? But they could have grounds. I mean, it would be pretty crazy to see, you know, LinkedIn or something sue the government. But I don't think they've got it in them. But Slashdot, if it was the old Slashdot crew, I bet they would do it. I bet the old Slashdot crew would totally sue the government for this.
Google has implemented some really insanely clever things. Like they don't talk about it obviously, but if you really dig in there, there's JavaScript on a lot of the Google properties now that actually check and audit the SSL certificate. So somebody that's going to set up like the fake Google website, the website itself actually has active and rotating protections to ensure that the running integrity of the stuff actually matches what it came from. And it reports back to Google, and that's how Google has caught some of the folks, like I think it was Italy. Italy. That's how they caught Italy doing sort of shenanigans with their SSL certificates.
You know, speaking of spoofing and all that kind of stuff, how about fake cell phone towers? Right now in Sunrise, Florida, there are fake cell phone towers. They're called Stingrays. They're made by a company down there. And the ACLU has been filing Freedom of Information Acts and that sort of thing, trying to find out which towers are real, which ones are fake. Now, here's the way these towers work. They're put up. They look a lot like a regular cell phone tower, but they only track people that are in that location. Sometimes they track, but there's speculation that they could actually listen in and record your phone calls, and also intercept and record your text messages and emails and that sort of thing. But fake cell phone towers, and the implications are that these things could be out there all over the place.
Surveilling us.
Yeah.
And
so
it's a situation where the ACLU has asked 30 Florida police and sheriff's departments for information under the Freedom of Information Act, and they are being stonewalled. And so it's like, well, I see you guys bought some because the city of Sunrise published their budget or whatever for 2013, and they paid $65,000 for one of these devices, at least one. And the invoice on it says, the disclosure of this document and any information it contains are strictly prohibited by federal law, but they'd accidentally uploaded it to their website as part of their what did we spend money on in 2013.
Man, so somebody got fired.
Well, no, that just means they're going to hide things better. But obviously, if they don't want to talk about it, they're using it. They're up to no good. I mean, if it's like we use these in law enforcement, or we use these with warrants, or we use these to surveil drug dealers or whatever, and they don't want to talk about it, chances are they're using it improperly.
Last thing I want to show here is Obama. This is kind of funny. So Obama, you guys can go back and watch the entire video if you guys want to find the entire video. But anyway, he's talking about the need for transparency, and he's talking about, you know, like putting some checks and balances in order. And I want to watch the end of his speech here, because after he's finished with his speech, nobody claps except one guy, and it's incredibly hilarious and awkward. So this is right after he just talked about implementing checks and balances.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you again.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question.
So what you're telling me is that all of these people who are obviously very smart are like, we don't buy it. We've heard this before.
Yeah, there was like, you know, one guy in like the, you know, whatever row, and he's just like, and he puts his hands down like, I didn't clap. And everyone else is looking at him like he just killed a baby. Were you just clapping? Jackass, but stop clapping. So yeah, it was a really awkward scenario.
I get the feeling it's one of those situations where it's like, well, all governments spy on their citizens. And Obama's like, yeah, but we spy on all of our citizens the more bester because we're number one in America and whatever.
And the one guy's like, yeah! And everybody's like, shut up. Shut up, Randy. It's like, what are you doing?
We've got the Super Bowl Sunday of surveillance apparatus here. Woohoo!
Oh, man.
America.
It is getting dark around this joint. I need to announce the winner of the contest for the 6800K gaming rig from Timmy Tech. So thanks a lot, Timmy Tech, for hooking everybody up with this computer. And plus, I'm going to throw in a Siberia Elite headset. And what else do I have here? I'll throw in a gaming mouse. I'll surprise you guys with a gaming mouse as well. So Apple II Easy is the winner. Now here's the way Timmy Tech just figured this out. He got everyone that posted in the forum, every single person, put them into an Excel spreadsheet, and then did a random number generator and grabbed somebody, and that's who he grabbed. Apple II Easy, right there. So congratulations on winning. All right, so we're gonna try a little something new. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to separate the tech into a couple of different episodes. And the first episode is going to be all about culture and the internet and the NSA and all that sort of thing. Second episode, or the second part, will be a day or so later, and it will cover hardware and gaming. And we may experiment, with this a little bit. We've gotten, I don't know, I guess we're on like episode 102, so it's time to try a few different things. And there's another reason for this. And somebody in the comments, they were, a couple weeks ago, whatever, was like, man, could you guys upload on a day other than Friday? Because all these other shows are uploading on Friday, too. And I was like, didn't we upload first on Friday? Wasn't it?
Because we have nothing better to do on Friday.
Yeah. So, I mean, Friday was usually the day, but maybe we can do another thing on Monday or something. So here's what I'm going to propose, and I'll do this live because I want everyone to jump in the comments and give us ideas as well. But I'm proposing to put the culture and the internet stuff together, and then put the hardware and the gaming stuff together. And then possibly when, we're sitting here on Thursday afternoon or evening making these videos, Wendell, maybe we can do like an episode of the inbox as well. And then I'll just have like 10 questions ready. And then as soon as we finish doing the tech, we'll make the inbox. So we'll have those 3 videos. It'll save us time because we'll get to shoot them all together, and then we can separate and distribute them throughout the week. And if you're someone who just cannot stand hearing about the ISPs and the NSA, and you don't really care about the internet geek culture and that sort of thing, you can just watch the hardware and the gaming one. And if you're someone who wants questions answered, you can just watch the inbox, or you can watch all of them and be happy. How does that sound, everybody? I guess they can't answer me now. I was waiting for someone to clap, but there's like a guy in the front row was like.
we may even end up with 3 episodes because honestly, the audience is also super interested in science, and that would give us more of a chance to cover science articles and cool stuff going on with science and like cutting edge technology. So it'd be like future tech and tech right now and gaming tech and whatever.
I would love that, but frankly, I think we would need a writer just because my time is, I swear, putting these articles together takes me forever. So
yes,
if you are someone who is like journalistic in nature and also into this nerdy stuff and you want to help us write articles, I will be glad. I would be so glad, man. That would make my life
Send us
better.
an email.
Yeah, please. Inbox at techsyndicate.com. In the subject, put I want to help you write the tech. I want to help you write the tech. Remember that. So it goes in the subject. Anyway, it's getting dark. We're going to go ahead and do video 2. And oh yeah, science is going to be in video 2 this week. We may break it down even further, just like Wendell just said. So yeah, go ahead and click on stuff over on the side, and we'll see you guys in the gaming, science, and hardware video.